Ta-da! Woohoo! All right, it is Thursday, and welcome to Eight Questions with. I'm your host, Patrick from Have Cheetah Will View. Our guest, Dustin Ardine, will be here in about 10 minutes or so. And welcome to the show. Um, yeah, pretty happy with this one. Pretty stoked, actually. I know you guys hear that a lot because what can I say? Modestly speaking, I have some pretty kick-ass guests, right? I'd like to think so. And obviously you're here, so you must think so too. And you'd be right, because the audience is always right. Um, yeah, I really like Dustin, man. He's a go-getter. I've seen artists like him before when I worked in music and doing this too. His drive actually sort of reminds me of our good friend Mike Ferguson. He's got that same hunger, the same drive, willing to work, willing to do anything, to get to make a good movie. He just wants to work. Let's go. You got a camera, you got a DP, you got a director, you got a script. Let's get going. And you gotta love an artist like that. Some artists, they just don't have that hunger, and that's why they're sitting there still waiting tables, and others are making it happen. So Dustin's one of those guys that's making it happen. So I'm really happy that we got him here. I'm glad you guys are here too. um Says here we got 4 watching, but I have nobody in the chat, so you must be new. If you're new to the show, please consider giving me and the Cheetah a connection. That would be awesome. That way you can know whenever we do something cool, which is quite often, actually. Well, we think so anyway. What's wrong with waiting tables? Nothing, I guess. I guess you could be. It could be worse. I mean, you could be working at home. Eating donuts and planning to take over the world with a spectacular. Um, Teaming up with your dog to take over the world. Pinky in the brain. Um, so those of you guys who know the routine while we're waiting for Dustin, you know what I have to do. You know I'm showing this off. It's the trusty calendar. Trusty calendar. So this is the last show of the week here. We had Richard Rossi and Rebecca Holden on Tuesday. Spectacular interview. Really enjoyed that. Quite different. Uh, that's on the playlist. I'll put that in the description box below, or you can just click on videos and find it there. Next Sunday, the 5th, we are traveling to back to the midnight hour. We're traveling back to Hobbs's channel. Hi, Hobbs. So that's the new catch model now is Hi Hobbs, right, Amanda? Hi, Patrick. Yes. Hi, me. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Hobbs. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Amanda. Um, our guest will be here momentarily. So we're going to. The only thing I know for sure on this Sunday, we're going to be doing. I guess we're supposed to be doing some weird food stuff. I don't know what we're doing, but I do know the spices will be making their long-awaited return to the show. So they'll be coming in and to be entertaining us. Um, next next Tuesday, we have artist and publisher Vince Capley. Very talented young man, tremendously gifted artist. He also publishes a magazine called Monster Magazine. We'll be talking to him. Next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, we'll be talking to the lovely Leah McKendrick. And I'm not kidding about that. Leah McKendrick is an amazing artist. She's a screenwriter. She's an actress. She's a producer. Um, she can do it all. She can do drama. She can do comedy. I met Leah through a movie called Pamela and Ivy. She also wrote a very strong thriller called MFA. Master of Fine Arts, which stars Francesca Eastwood, which is Clint Eastwood's daughter. Oh, what's going on, Sean? Wow, welcome, welcome. So she'll be here next Wednesday at 8 p.m. And then on the next a week from today, we have our friend Michelle, who some of you may already know of. Her name is she runs a YouTube beauty channel called Makeup Mom and Son. But don't let that name fool you, because Michelle, she loves horror films, and not only will we be talking about her channel, and but we'll be talking a little bit of horror films because the lady knows her stuff. Let me tell you. She also has a interview series her own self called "What's This Channel About?" Really nice lady. One of the really sweetest laughs you'll meet. She has a really cute laugh. She's really bubbly. Looking forward to having her on the 9th. On the 14th, our very own Chadwick will be joining us. Chadwick Whitmire. You know Chadwick. He's always supporting us here on the tube. Our various endeavors, whether it be Hobbs Horror, Have Cheetah Will View, The Midnight Hour. Chadwick has always been very supportive of us, and maybe some of you might not know, but he's also a working actor. So we'll be talking to him about his career on the 14th. And then on the 15th, we're going back to Ireland. We're going back across the pond for a special 12 p.m. start, and we're talking to Ashleen Clark, who has a new play out. Even though I'm Irish, I don't speak Gaelic, so I can only pronounce it phonetically. Well, I can't even pronounce it. I'm going to have to practice that. But she also wrote and directed Eye Exam, Childers, and then, of course, the IFC midnight film, The Devil's Doorway. But we'll be talking about her new screenplay. And then on the 16th, we have actress Hillary Kerwin, and really been looking forward to her. Hi, Fairy Dust. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, JB. We have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun here. The interview we did with Richard Rossi and Rebecca Holden is definitely one of the most interesting interviews I've done. I've only done a handful of them, but that was an interesting interview. I really I thought it was really fascinating, and I really hope you guys go back and take a listen to it. It runs a little longer. It's a little longer. It's a little over 2 hours, but it's really good interview. It's a really good interview. So I also want to say thanks to Marshall from Mellow Nomadic Adventures. He had me on his live stream yesterday, and I want to thank Marshall very much for letting me come up there and talk a little bit on his channel. Marshall is one of the nicest guys in the van life community, in the nomad community, and also the film industry, because he works doing movies. And he's a super talented guy, very, very gentle, very kind guy, down to earth. And he asked me to come on his stream, and I was very touched. So I said, yeah. He mentioned he wants to do a regular segment, and so I said, yeah, me, I'm down for it. So I don't know what he wants to come up with, but I'm sure he'll come up with something, and we'll do something. Yeah, I was up there for about 10 minutes. Brene, I was on there for about 10 minutes. Yeah, it came out of the blue for me too. Of course, if you guys all haven't connected with each other, you guys are supposed to do that as well. But I'm pretty much sure you guys, maybe, if you haven't connected with Sean Blue Digital, please do so. Sean is a brother from another mother. Really nice guy. Yes, you are, Fairy Dish. You are a very good mod. I've noticed that. And Jamie as well. Yep. Dustin will be here momentarily. He was on his way home. That's the thing I do. Some of the interviews we do, since I do a live show, um, sometimes the interviews are in different time zones. So it's 5 o'clock in LA, and as you can imagine, traffic is a little. Um, oh, hold on here. Facebook is acting up again. All right, here we go. All right. Welcome, welcome. We are live. And wow, look at your day. Your day looks. What am I doing in my side of a room? Look at your room.
Beautiful day out here today. Beautiful day.
Man, that's gorgeous. Man, you know what? I lived in Southern California most of my life until I was 21, and then I moved up to Central California. But I gotta admit, sometimes when I see people broadcast from Los Angeles, yeah, I think I miss it a little bit more than I realize.
Beautiful day out here in LA. Beautiful day. Can't beat the weather out here.
No, I could see that.
What doesn't make up for it is the traffic. That doesn't make up for it.
Yeah, I love it. It never fails to amuse me when I hear people up here in Michigan, they're driving on the road and they're talking about traffic, and I'm going like, oh my God, you have no idea what traffic is. You just have no idea. You are blessed.
Absolutely. I've lived in many different states, and yeah, no, LA has traffic. That's traffic. San Francisco's traffic. Pittsburgh, that's not traffic. Florida, that's not traffic. Like you said, Michigan, none of those aren't traffic.
Though I will say Michigan, I think it seems like traffic in Michigan because our roads look like they were made and tested by tanks. We have so many potholes. You don't know whether you should drive through them or stop your car and go fishing in them because they're that deep.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, I've been really fortunately that I have not lost a tire. A lot of times people especially during the wintertime, a pothole will just pop up, and next thing you know, people are driving through and you'll see a line of cars, like 10 or 12 cars in a row, because they've all lost their tires.
Yeah, definitely. No, I remember I lived on the East Coast for about well over a decade, and yeah, there was a lot of people pull over the side of the road, changing their tires, everything like that, because of potholes over here, just the weather. And it's funny out here in California when it rains slightly, people don't know how to drive. They freak out, and I'm like, you don't know what bad weather is. Trying to maneuver through those tiny streets in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, when it's nothing but snow and ice covered, that's driving. And Michigan, I'm sure you guys have the same out there.
Oh yeah, the same thing. I mean, it's funny. It's like once we get our first snow here, you would think people will be slowing down half the speed here. But of course, the first time we get snow covering the road, you get drivers that want to go, twice the speed limit, and then they wonder why. They're wondering why they're sliding on the top of their car, looking like a movie, and they're upside down, and the car's spinning down like this, and they're wondering, why am I doing this? Why is this car keep spinning like this? Oh yeah, we got those. Let's see. Looking in the chat here, we got some friends here. Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca's here. Team Dustin. Barry Dust is here. Yeah. So let's see. Hob. Oh yeah, our friend Hobbs is here. He's from Ohio, so he can relate to us.
How you doing, Hobbs?
Let's see. It says, ironically, a lot of my clients I speak with can't wait to get out of California. Couldn't get out soon enough, according to them. Oh gosh, no. Yeah, I don't blame them. And California is just a cesspool right now. It's just really, really. It's just, I don't know. It just seems to be a real lack of any sort of organization there right now. I mean, it's a beautiful state, but I think the cost of living is so freaking high, and I
I
think
will
that's
agree
really
with that one, definitely. Yeah, the cost of living out here
yeah.
is ridiculous, and I mean, especially with COVID going on, everybody, safety is everybody's number one concern out here. But I mean, when you look up in the sky and you got this beautiful weather, hopefully we can just get through it and everybody can stay safe and we can get out onto greener pastures. Have a better tomorrow.
Yeah, let's get back to living. All right,
Absolutely,
so let's go. Let's get this party started.
absolutely.
So
Well, thank
tell
you for
us a
having me
little
very
bit
much,
about
Patrick.
yourself. Oh yeah, thank you. I told everybody like before you got here, I told people that what I really admired about you and have a tremendous amount of respect is your drive. I really respect the drive in artists. You have that drive. You just want to work. You want to work. You don't really don't care what it is. As long as there's a camera, a director, a script, and a crew, let's get going. Let's make some magic. And
Absolutely.
I
Thank you very much for
and I
saying that.
like that. I really do. I appreciate that. And I respect it because a lot of times, a lot of actors or a lot of artists, they think they want it. They think they want it, but they don't really understand the drive behind it, what the sacrifices they have to make in order to do that. Um, uh, there's an actor named Daniel Hill who we interviewed, and he was talking about that. He was sitting there, he's telling the students like, what do you do for a job? I mean, if someone calls you up for a audition, are you able to go right then? Are you going to be able to go right then, or will you tell them that, oh, I can't go because I got to work. I got to work. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
What's your real desire? And the way he put it was like most people will just sit there and go like, you know what, I can't make it because I have a job. But the real driven ones will sit there and say, what time? And I'll be there. And I guess that's a big difference between someone who really wants to make it and someone who doesn't really understand what it takes to make it.
I mean, you couldn't have
Um,
said it any better. I think
so,
I wanted to be an
hey,
actor my
Mr.
entire
Bones,
life.
Mr. Bones is in the house. Thank you for showing up, sir.
How you
So
doing, Mr.
let's go
Bones?
back to your beginning. I mean, obviously we have to do that. So where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Reno, Nevada. I stayed out there, but like I said, I've pretty much lived in almost every state in the union, and I traveled a lot around. My family is uh, we're Latin, we are Romanian, we're Italian, Spanish. We're bunch of gypsies move around a lot. So lived in almost every state in the union. So traveled around from Reno, Nevada to Dayton, Ohio to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Florida. You still there? I think we lost Patrick. The wonders of technology, right, Patrick? There he is.
Oh yeah, I love technology. Technology is my friend. So my question to you was, where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Reno, Nevada, and raised there for a little bit. But I've lived in almost every state in the union, like I was saying. My family's were Latino, Italian, Romanian, a lot of different nationalities. So a bunch of gypsies moving around everywhere. I went from Reno, Nevada, California, Washington, Oregon, Dayton, Ohio. I have family down in Texas, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I spent over 10 years of my life at Florida. So yeah, I've lived in many different states and just traveling all around. And going back to what you were saying about desire and heart for what you want to do. I've wanted to do this since I was 6 years old, and since I was 6, this is all I've put my heart and soul into. And obviously, when you're 6, you got to do what your parents tell you to do. But I didn't come from anybody who came in the industry or anything like that. Nobody in my family had any connections or anything like that. So had to start out just doing neighborhood plays, finding anything that I could find. My dad took me to a Nike commercial when I was like I think 7 or 8 years old. That was my first commercial audition, and I didn't get it. But just tried. They were very few and far between. Got some background roles and a couple movies, but nothing I was ever really seen, much in local theater. More than not, I got trained as a method actor on the stage and love every part of it. Went to school finally when I could, as soon as I got to a school that had any kind of theater or drama program. Got into there, and that's what I did my high school curriculum in. That's what I did my college degrees in. And as soon as I could, I went out to California to go to the New York Film Academy, which was a school that I had no business going to because I really couldn't afford it. But I saved my money. I sold a couple of vehicles that I had been fortunate enough in my life to have, and I slept in my car for 2 years while I went to the New York Film Academy, and sleeping in my car for 2 years, going to the school, working a nighttime job, like you said, because everybody has to work. We have to work, but I kind of structured my entire life around this goal, and I made sure it was a nighttime job, so it wouldn't interfere with any auditions that I had to do. When I get a role, that's when it kind of interferes. We have to shoot overnight or anything like that. But many times I've shot all day long from 8 a.m. to when we call wrap until 10 p.m. and then I go to work after that, just so I can have extra money to just live. That's the working life of an actor.
Right.
And like you were saying, a lot of people just either don't understand the drive that it takes to go after a dream that you have, and other people they just don't want it, I guess, that much. And when they come out here and they learn, oh, this is what it's going to take to do this, either that scares them off, or they just don't have it from the beginning, or they put the effort in, and unfortunately sometimes it pays off and other times it doesn't, and that's the gamble that you unfortunately take in this industry. But me, I've been fortunate enough that I've been working really hard and getting some really good gigs and putting in some great performances, and meeting wonderful people like you and Rebecca and so many other people that have supported me and in my journey. And I'm thankful for every single day I get to do anything. I'm about to go out to Las Vegas to film another feature film here in about a week, and I can't look. I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait. But yeah, it takes all the drive and the determination in the world. And from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to sleep, really the only thing that's on my head is, what can I do today for my dream? How can I achieve my dream today? Because this is pretty much it for me.
Yeah, you want to do one positive thing every day to advance that dream. Whether it be send out a self tape, or do an interview like this, or run lines with a friend, or or maybe read over a script. Whatever
Absolutely.
Whatever you do, if you can just do one thing a day to improve your craft, I can see you doing it.
Absolutely. I remember those days at the New York Film Academy, or even in drama school in high school or in college. I would go straight home from doing my studies or anything like that, and I go immediately to read my lines, read my monologues, because I couldn't wait to perform it the next day. And then the next day we'd come in and I'd have my monologue completely down pat and ready to go. And then a lot of the other students would be like, "How did you learn that so quickly?" Or "What are you doing?" And my question back to them, "Well, what did you do last night?" And they were like, "Oh, we all went to a party." And I was like, "You were partying. I was in my car that I'm living in, reading my lines, remembering my monologue." That was the difference. I love to cut loose as much as anybody does, but I'm more, this is what I want to do, and I know the sacrifices that I'm gonna have to get to make that, to get somebody to see me, to get to advance in my career and keep going and keep doing what I love to do. I'm willing to make that sacrifice, so I don't have to party all the time, or I don't have to go drinking all the time, and it's fine for anybody who wants to do it, but understand that instead of doing that, you could be doing something else,
Right.
to achieve your dream.
Like I said, there's a lot of people out there in LA that, you walk up to them and say, "What do you do?" And they're saying, "Well, I'm an actor. I'm in movies." And then you ask them, "What have you done lately?" And and they don't get that. They don't really get that question. That's not a "what have you done lately" as far as being on TV or being on a screen, or that sort of thing. It's like, what have you done lately? Like, have you done a theater play? Have you gone out to an audition? Have you read a script? Have you talked over? Have you done something, like I said, to improve your craft? That's what you've done lately to make you. What have you done lately? Well, here's what I did lately. Yesterday, I made 2 self tapes. I my agent sent me over a script to look over. I also, also looked into doing a play. Something that's to stretch me out because I haven't done a lot. Maybe I haven't done a genre. That's new to me. So I'm going to try something new. And there's always something you can do to improve yourself.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
a lot
like.
of people
That's
don't.
what I'm saying. That's exactly what I told people right before you got on here. Exactly what I told people before because I didn't know your answer to this, obviously. But this is what I told people before the show started. This is what I really like about you and really respect about you. It's the fact that this is the kind of drive that you have. This is why you will succeed. It's not if you will, it's when you will. Um,
Thank you.
let's see. Uh, yeah, so I gonna say, I mean, you mentioned your dad taking you out to an audition. So were your parents creatives, or did they just support you when when
Well,
you did the thing?
I mean, my family. I come from a working class family. My dad is a postal employee. He's a mailman, and my mother is a nurse. So they were working full time jobs all the time to support me, my older brother, and my younger sister. And everything that they did to support their children, and they worked really hard. But they didn't really have time for a lot of extracurricular activities. They put in all the time that they possibly could have. That audition that my dad went to, they'd sent me to a school in Florida for a little bit, and they cost them every scrap to do that, and I'm so appreciative for them for doing that. But they could only do things every now and then, where as opposed to other people who are lucky enough to be born, into families who are much more financially secure. They can go straight to some of the most expensive schools in the world, but without that drive and that determination, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, where you go to school. And that's always what I've had to believe inside myself. And it's hard to believe in that sometimes in this industry, especially, but you really do have to believe that it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. You can achieve your dreams and just keep going for them, which is what I plan to do.
You mentioned that how you traveled across the country. That's got to be a tremendous. I mean, that's in a sense. I mean, you got a formal education here and you got life experience here. Your life experience has gotta help you. I mean, you've seen so much, you've lived so many places. I'm sure that's all been incorporated into your craft.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Everything that happens to me on a daily basis, I incorporate in some way in my craft. Like I said, I'm a method actor, and that's what I was trained as. And method acting, you want to do sensory recall, and you want to bring real life occurrences into your craft and connect with your character on such a deep level that I've lived as the character that I'm playing for months at a time, full shoots at a time. I've gained over about 75 pounds before for a role. I've dropped it all by not eating for 4 months straight for a role before. I do my own stunts and I commit fully to every film that I'm in. But when you live across the country like that, and you are traveling with your family, not only did I get a chance to act in many different theaters all across the United States. I've performed in Mexico and Canada, a lot of different places. But you also get a chance to see people, and people are so amazing. That's why we tell stories of people, and that's what I love to do. I love to get a script and read who is this character, what is his background, how is he different from Dustin, how is he different from Patrick, how is he different from everybody out there, what in his background chooses the decisions that he's made, because as we all know, every decision that we make in our lives makes us who we are today. And whether that is what we look like physically, where we are, what we're doing, anything like that, it's a choice every day of how we live our lives. So I take the character on that basis, and then I try to put it in connection with myself. What has happened to me in my past? I didn't come from a great family. I mean, like I said, I love my parents, and they were as supportive as they could be, but I also came from a broken, home. My parents were divorced when I was about 4 years old, and there was, back and forth and everything like that, and it wasn't a pretty picture for many, many years. And that was really what accounted for traveling across, countries and all, or traveling across states and whatnot. But I try to take every aspect of everything that happens to me. It could be a breakup that has happened in my past, or the death of a loved one, or any of those things, and you put it into your character. And those aren't things that we necessarily want to live through again, but to give the most wonderful performance as your character and to bring your character fully to life on the screen is the pain that you have to go through if that's the kind of role that you have to bring him to life, because you can't phone something like that in my opinion. You can't every actor has their own ways to go about things, and that's great, and every actor has the right to choose how they want to do things, but there's a difference between choosing different methods or kind of phoning it in. And to bring a character to life so completely that the audience is immersed in it. Because when I'm in a play, when I'm if I'm standing in the middle of the street performing Shakespeare, or I'm on a huge big screen in a feature film, I don't want the audience to see Dustin Ardine. I want the audience to see the character that I'm playing, and then afterward go, wow, who was that? And that Dustin guy, he's great. He performed so well. I completely got lost in the film, because that's why we go to the cinema. That's why we go to the theaters, to be taken out. It's an escape of our everyday life. I mean, especially in the world that we're living in right now with COVID and everything going on, we all need an escape, and that's the power of cinema, and that's the power of theater. They take us away. That's why people love music and dancing and everything like that, art.
Yeah, I totally agree. I got a question here. I was going to wait, but I guess we can talk a little bit about it now. Ops wanted to know about a little bit about your pro wrestling background. That's an interesting skill. I mean,
so in my life, growing up, I had two loves. My first was always acting, and that was what I've always strived for. But because I'm my build, or because of basically how I was raised, again, professional wrestling grabbed me when I was really young as well, about the same time, and it was always something that I was like, I love that. I love the art of professional wrestling. I love the physicality of professional wrestling. And when I was like so many other kids grew up, I did stuff in the backyard. And I remember when I was like 6 or 7, I took my mom's mattress outside and I put it outside. I went up to the roof, and she tells this story like every Christmas. But I was on the roof, and she told me to get down right now, and yelling at me, and I did a moonsault off of, like a backflip off of it onto the mat. And so I was always the daredevil, and like I said, I do my own stunts now, and it doesn't matter what happens to me as long as I bring the character to life. But when I did that, then it was just like, okay, what are you in for, as far as what my mom was thinking? She was like, great, what am I in for with this kid? And it's funny, sometimes I kind of feel bad for my parents, because of my dream and of my drive and of my determination. I've left them at times to go completely to the opposite ends of the country. Haven't seen them for years on end, or when I'm around them, I'm always trying to do something, work and do a play, or I'm in this character, and I'm walking around in a horrible mood because that's the character I'm in, or I'm walking around with an accent, and that's the character that I have, and anything like that. So I mean, like I said, my parents, again, they did the best that they could, and I love them very much. And it was a broken home that you come from, which again, I think for anybody who goes maybe into the arts or into anything creative, I think that they need that outlet because of something that happened previously in their life or anything like that. And for me, it was an escape, just watching films. And watching films, I could go sail the 7 seas, or I could go on a horror, adventure. I could go on a fantasy adventure. Any of those type of movies. I could be up in space watching Star Wars, or anything like that. And as I got older, I wanted to kind of give that back, to kids today. And that's why I always put everything that I have into the characters, because whether it's a kid's movie or if it's an adult's movie, everybody who's watching it needs an escape, from something, because.
Sure. Now, was wrestling for you? I mean, were you like a teenager when you got into it, or?
I started. I mean, as far as professional wrestling, like WWE, in the the squared circle as they call it. I started professional wrestling when I was 14 years old, and I got trained by Dory Funk Jr. and the phenomenal AJ Styles, who's one of the biggest in the world right now. He was one of my first trainers. The Ballard brothers were actually from California themselves. They all trained me when I was about 15 years old, and I kind of grew up in the industry wrestling with guys like CM Punk, Super Hentai, a lot of the guys who are big now. And as I made my way up through the ranks, I'd wrestled in Ohio, Virginia, Florida, again Mexico, Pittsburgh, all over the country pretty much, and I absolutely loved it. And I was very good at it, and still to this day, I just had a match, I think my last match was about 2 years ago, so it wasn't very, very far off. But when I was in, I was living in Pittsburgh, came around through New York, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to go back out to California to pursue my acting dream, because that was still on the forefront of everything. But I went out to Reno because I have family in Reno, Nevada, and I stopped to visit them, and we'd all decided, let's try to open up a wrestling organization, and they asked me if I kind of run the thing because, I had the most experience being in it since I was 14. And I was like, okay, we can do that. There's, LA is just a little down the road. I can go down to act. I can act here. So I opened my own wrestling organization in Reno, Nevada called Pro Wrestling Destination. And I ran it for about a decade. And we put on live shows once a month. I had a weekly running television show. We had stars come out all the time, like Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart, the Young Bucks, who are very big in AEW right now. They were my tag team champions. Bayley from WWE, she was known as Davina Rose at that time. She was my women's champion. So we had a great time doing that, and I still wrestled all through that. But then, it just got, when you're running everything and you're trying to do way too many things, you're wearing too many hats, things kind of got too much. And even though I'd made it a success, and we were playing in places like Grand Sierra Resort and everything like that, it wasn't fully fulfilling my acting drive and my determination that I want to be an actor. I want to be in major motion picture films, and I want to do things that will help people escape from their lives forever, and so I decided, okay, I'm gonna sell my company. I'm gonna sell my vehicles. And that was when I came out here to California to go to the New York Film Academy. And I had made the decision because I remember when I was about 15 or so, I had found the New York Film Academy, and I showed it to my dad, and he looked at the price to go to the school, and he said, well, good luck with that, and just kind of walked away. And, and again, it's a very expensive school, which is, again, I had to sell a company, sell 2 cars, live in my car for 2 years just to go to the thing. But I went to it, and it was a great experience, and I made a lot of great connections with people. But I also made friendships with a lot of those other actors that you were talking about, where they didn't have the drive, and they're no longer out here. They're not continuing it. They've gone home, or they've had families, which is all great. But they kind of stopped doing that, and I can't allow myself to do that. I have this goal in my life that's been the same goal since I was 6 years old. And I told Rebecca when she interviewed me, and she told me to definitely say it again, was my last name, Ardine, that was my grandfather's last name, and that was my birth last name. My birth last name is Serrano. But when my grandfather, he was such an influence and an impact on my life. I remember he came to one of my first ever wrestling matches that I did when I was like 15 years old. And he was the guy that kind of built that drive and that idea that magic can happen, that it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Magic happens every day, whether that's, a flower blooming, the sun setting, someone, just making it through the day. Cause there's many people that don't. And he told me, that no matter what, as long as I had my drive and I believed in myself, I could accomplish wonders. And so when he unfortunately was on his deathbed, I was down in Florida, and I didn't leave his side for I think about 2 weeks, and I asked him for permission to carry on his name because he didn't have anybody to carry on his name, and I wanted his name to live on because he meant that much to me. And so he gave me permission, and he said, make sure you use it well and accomplish your dreams. And I promised him that I would, and I'm not going to stop.
What is, for a lot of people, including myself, when we have some idea of it, but explain to us what method acting is and where did you learn it from?
Method. I mean, there's many different forms of acting. There, the Stella Adler approach. There, I mean, they all come from Konstantin Stanislavski, and he wrote many books. To the act. For actors to talk about his approach to acting and how he sees acting. Acting can't be, it can't be more just external where you're standing on a stage and you're screaming your lines, because before that it was a lot more external. It had to come from within and be more internalized. And so he wrote his stuff, and then other teachers, famous acting teachers like Stella Adler and and I'm sorry. And so many other teachers, they branched off into their own. Method acting was one of those branches, and there's a book out called Passion, which is all about method acting, and it talks about basically method acting is you live the character, you become the character, and you do that by internalizing every part of the character by many different forms like sensory recall, bringing in real life stories from your past into the character, putting yourself in the character's position and wanting to show that person as opposed to show yourself. There's other people that whether they're big or small in the industry, they're kind of the same character in every movie that they play or theater show that they go to, which is fine, but then there's also the other actors who, no matter what movie or play they're in or anything that they're doing, they're always somebody else. They're always different. They got an accent, they've lost weight, and that's all forms of method acting. And different actors take it to different extremes. Others can be like, okay, well, you can do method acting without hurting your body. Others are like, oh no, you can't. But whatever you choose to do is totally fine. But for me, I've always put myself 100% in the character's position, and I've always said it doesn't matter, because I don't want the audience to see me. I don't want the audience to see Dustin Ardine. I want them to enjoy the film and be totally lost and have that escape during that time. And then when they go back and they think, wow, that was such a great performance, who was that? Oh, that kid was really good. Dustin was really good. And when I build up that reputation of having that as every film that I do, people will go, okay, no, Dustin's going to give us something we haven't seen before. He's going to be new and original, or he's going to show us who this character is. Whether it's I did a film a couple years ago called Ariadne, and it was based on the Greek mythology and the story of Ariadne, Theseus, and the Minotaur. And I played the Minotaur character, and the director told me, okay, well, you have to look like a beast. I want you to gain a lot of weight. So I ate everything inside. I was working out 3 times a day, and I played the Minotaur, and I packed on about a little over 75 pounds. And I did a fully nude scene in that film as well. So not only am I 80 pounds heavier, but I'm also naked. And but that was the commitment that I was willing to make to the character. But it also goes deeper than that, because I looked at the character of the Minotaur from the Greek mythology myth, and I looked at his essence as like, who is this guy, like underneath the surface? And those who are familiar with the story knows he's a prisoner. So I started studying a whole lot about how prisoners live when they're on the outside, or how they live on the inside. They have different mannerisms when they're eating. They have different thoughts of like when they're sitting at a table, they always have to constantly be watching their back, and they're looking over their shoulders every time before they take a bite. Different things like that, because they don't know who could potentially be attacking them. They don't like to be in any, even after they get outside, they don't like to be in confined spaces, because it reminds them of being in jail. So I took all these mannerisms and his ideas, and I packed him into the character. And I remember I found these cufflinks that had an X on them, and I wore those for the character because in olden times the X was a mark of a prisoner. And so I was like, okay, that fits the character perfectly. And I lived as that character, fully, talked like him, walked like him, dressed like the character for the full 3 months that we shot, whether I was on set or not. And again, I've won a couple Best Actor awards for that film. So, that's all great, and I absolutely love the acclaim, the esteem for that, and the acclaim and everything. But I know that when people watch that film, they're seeing the Minotaur, and they're saying, okay, Dustin did great as that character. They're not just saying, oh, Dustin did great, or hey, look at Dustin, he's doing good.
Now, to me, it seems like there's risk versus reward in that, though. There's reward. You won awards. You lived that part, but it seems to me the risk is really heavy too, though. Like gaining the 80 pounds. I've seen that with Jared Leto and Robert De Niro being two of probably the best method actors that I know of. And I know a lot of actors, they have a hard time letting go of their roles. Have you ever had that problems as an actor? Have you ever had trouble just letting go of a role? Like, okay, like we actually talked to Corey Gaines, who did Children of the Corn and whatnot, and he said that what he does, because he's method, he said how he let go of his characters. He walked inside his wherever he was at, and then he would just clap. He'd give himself an applause, saying, "All right, I did the best job I could. I'm happy with it. This and that." And then he just let it go, and then he just dropped it. Now I know that isn't easy. So how do you deal with it? How do you separate Dustin from the character when the movie's over?
Well, I think it's different in every film that you do, because to put yourself into each character requires different amounts of commitment. But for instance, with the Minotaur character in Ariadne, I had lived in that character for so long, because it's if you're doing a short, or if you're doing a theater play that only runs for a little bit, or if you're doing a feature film that's going to shoot over a week or a couple months, or anything like that, it's different putting yourself in that mindset for however long the time frame is, but you still want to fully commit no matter what it is. And I've done method acting for shorts that only film for a couple days. I remember one called Desert Sky, where basically the story it's an anti-bullying film, which I loved, and that was what drew me to it. And it was basically myself and two other actors. We were put in a crate with just our heads sticking out of it in the desert, and we actually filmed out in the desert for about 2 days, and it was really hot on those 2 days. But I would not allow myself to get out of the crate, and I wouldn't allow myself anything to drink because my character didn't get to. So why should I? And on the second day of filming, my lips are all chapped and everything like that. And the director actually came over and he's like, "Okay, I know your method, but I'm pulling rank now, and I'm going to force you to drink just a little topper of water." And he kind of put it in my mouth, and I kind of let it trickle down, and he was like, "Okay, fine," and walked away. But yeah, you always have to go fully into it. And for me, bringing myself out of it, I've used different kind of approaches to it. With the Minotaur character, for instance, he was that prisoner. He had a very sorrowful attitude, and he had very he was all internal. He didn't feel he could do anything external, and I had to look inside myself for, okay, why am I attaching myself to these parts of this character? And I had to kind of give myself kind of self-therapy to try to release and be able to go, no, it's okay. I can be external. I don't have to watch everybody. I don't have to be hovering over my food. Nobody's going to take my food from me, and just constantly reminding myself, okay, now it's Dustin's time. And then other times, as he mentioned, you are able to just come in and just shake it off like really hard, and maybe have a big cry in the corner, or maybe just yell and scream for a little bit, however you have to do to get that out of you, and just to go back to being Dustin and going back to being whoever you are. That it's a case by case basis, but in my estimation, it's it's not easy either way. But
Short
it's
films would
something
seem
that
to be
we
really
do.
intense. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
doing short films, I would think it'd be a lot harder to do short film as a method actor than a feature length or
Absolutely. Because you don't
yeah.
have that time to put in the whole character. You don't have, 100 pages. You have, 20 pages to get across who this character is. And I mean, I do shorts a lot. I love shorts. In fact, right after I did Ariadne, where I packed on all that weight, the very next film that I did was a horror short called Birth. And the director came to me and she told me, she's like, I love you for this role. I want you to be the lead in this, but you have to drop all this weight. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, this guy is just a regular guy who's trying to save his wife. He's not a minotaur. He's not a Greek mythological character, but he's a regular guy. How am I going to do everything? So I didn't eat for about 4 months when I wanted to drop the weight for the role, and I went on what was called the master cleanse, and I did that for a couple of those weeks. Then I just did a fast for a couple of the weeks, and just didn't eat anything solid, anything at all, other than water or the drinks that you're supposed to have in the master cleanse for over 4 months. Even through the shoot, I didn't have and that was horrible because she had really good catering service on that film.
Oh.
And I didn't have any of it, and we actually shot that film in the same house that they shot Insidious in, and it was a beautiful house, and it was a great location. We shot here in Los Angeles, we shot in Riverside, California, we shot in a lot of different locations, and that film, everybody actually traveled over to Cannes to see it because it opened at the Cannes Film Festival, and I didn't get to go because I couldn't afford a last minute plane ticket to France, but it's doing really well, and it's actually going to show here at the TLC Chinese Theater downtown on September the 18th. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna offer some yeah, we're gonna have a chance for people who watch this who live in the LA area. If they want to get free tickets, they can contact me after the show. They can contact me. I'll leave my information, and yeah, if they want a free ticket, come watch the show. We'll see about
Absolutely.
see about scoring, let people score some tickets. I just feel like, wow, I mean, it's got to be sort of like a happy medium, though. To me, it's like I totally get the idea of what method is, but man, it's just got to be like, there's got to be a little bit off the gas, because
Oh yeah.
if I'm a director, and I totally appreciate your method, but if I'm an actor and I'm sitting out there in 120-degree heat, I appreciate your work, I do, but I sure as hell ain't gonna have you die on me. It's either you gotta work with me on that, as far as taking a drink or eating properly, or else, man, it just ain't worth it for me. I just can't. I would be really hesitant. So is there like a levels that you can bring yourself down to work with this, still be true to yourself and your craft?
Oh, I mean, my job
still be safe.
I mean, and it's funny because the director of that film, he was actually a friend of mine from NIFA. That's where we first met, and that was the first time we'd ever worked together. And that was why he knew he could come over and kind of pull rank, because he was like, I know what you do, I know who you are, but you're not going to die on me. Kind of was like that. So he was like, you are going to drink this, and but my job as an actor, and the way that I put it to every director out there, is my job is to bring the director's vision to life. So if the director has a vision for the character that's not my vision, I'm going to answer his vision. That's my job, is to bring the director, the producers, everybody who wants to make the film, their way. And if we get into like a creative difference about it, I'm always the one that's like, okay, I'm going to do it your way. That's fine. That's my job. But obviously, every actor out there wants to have creative freedom in what they do. And there is a line where I've worked with directors who are, I'm going to do what I want to do, and you're going to do what I say. Like that's how they kind of are. And that's not right. You don't want to work, that way, and then on the other side of it, like you said, you don't want to work with, directors who just let everybody run rampant and do their own thing, and it doesn't have control over anything. But so there is a happy medium ground there, and my way to go about that is I always give my artistic input into the character, into the film. If I see that there's a line that I'm like, he wouldn't say it this way, he'd either not say anything right there and he'd just react. Because a lot of actors, they don't understand, especially when they're inexperienced or anything like that, that it doesn't matter if you have a billion lines in the film or if you just have a couple. You can put on a great performance, whether that is just with your reactions, your eyes, your mannerisms, however you do things, and going through theater, going through all the stage classes that I did, my method acting training has taught me that, and I'm able to utilize that. And but when you just have the lines, it's not enough to just say it. So if I see that there's a line that I'm like, I know my character wouldn't say that, I take it to the director, or I take an idea to the director, and it's either up to him. He's like, no, you know what, you're really right about that, or let's go talk to the writer, let's see what he thinks. Or no, I really like that line and I want to use that line in the trailer, you're going to say that line. Okay, cool. It's what say it 100%, and I'll say it as my character, and I'll put everything I have into it, instead of just going, I'll just say the line and blah, blah, blah. You still got to commit fully, because you are there to do a job of somebody else, their way, their vision. And that's and that's something that I think a lot of people who've worked with me enjoy about working with me, is that not only do I commit fully to the film, they know I'm going to be the first one on set, the last one to leave, because I love being on set. I'd rather be on set than pretty much anywhere in the world. But they also know that I'm not going to go overt. I'm not going to be a diva. I'm not going to say my way or the highway. I'm not going to come to set and not know my lines. Because that's day one stuff. If you come to set not knowing your lines, what are you doing? If you come to, then it goes even to auditions. If you come to an audition and you aren't already off book, that's how I am. And I know different casting directors are looking for different things, but I've seen, because I've been on both sides of it, I've literally seen people come to an audition and try to read off their cell phones. Read this little script off of their cell phones, or their monologue off their cell phones, and I'm like, what? So I've literally seen that many times, and it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. What works for other people is their way, but for me, I always want to put everything I have into it. I want, from the time that you see me walk into the audition room, that I'm the guy that you want. I'm the one that you want, because I'm going to be the most driven. I'm the guy that is going to bring this character to life. And it was funny. I heard Bryan Cranston speak at a Q&A one time, and I love Bryan Cranston. I was actually lucky enough to get to ask him a question, and I was basically asking him about auditions and how he goes into an audition and stuff like that. And his answer actually stuck with me, and it's an answer that I keep to this day. He basically said that a lot of actors go into an audition with this sense of needing a job. Please give me this job, please, because if actors don't work, we're not actors, like you said before. And he said, I go into an audition going, am I the guy for you? Am I the guy for this character? If I'm not, okay, but I'm not going to go into it thinking, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job, and I remember him saying that, and that really rang true to me. And I was just like, wow. Yeah. So ever since then, I go into the audition, I'm cordial, I'm professional, I'm everything. But if I don't get it, I don't beat myself up over it. I don't say, what could I have done differently? Because right, as they teach you when you're coming up in acting, there's a thing called branding, where they kind of brand you as like, oh, who are you going to be in this film? I remember when I was in film school, that was like a couple classes that we did all on branding. They picked everybody in the classroom, and we had to say, okay, who is he? Who is she? She's the knockout character. This one's the best friend character. This is the bully character. This is the jock character. All these other kind of things. And I was actually always very happy with my branding, because they basically looked at me and they said, okay, you're going to be the Russell Crowe, or the Robert De Niro, or the Dustin Hoffman. And being that I'm actually named after Dustin Hoffman, that was such a wonderful thing to hear, because those are some of my favorite actors in the world. So if I'm in that brand, I'm good. If I can live up at all through my performances, and eventually get to where they got to by their hard work and their determination, which I believe I can do, then that's wonderful, because I don't want to be, the next Robert De Niro. I want to be the first Dustin Ardine. you know.
Exactly.
But the work and the drive and the determination is all the same. You know, it's all the same. I have to put in what they put in.
I have a question for you. Because now, because of COVID, and this is something that Daniel Hill mentioned when we talked to him as well. He loves the audition process too. I mean, he loved going down there because he could get out there. He can actually look somebody in the face, shake their hand, saying, "I'm the guy you're going to be looking for." You know, I'm the guy. But it's also now people are doing self tapes. So now the traditional audition process seems to be slowly fading away, and now because of the pandemic, and now they just have kept it going on. So, what do you like better? Do you like the self audition? Do you like the self tape better, or you like the being in person better? And how have you made the adjustment to doing self tapes?
I 150% love to be in person when I audition, because, like I said, it's just such a more communic. There's more communication that happens when you can be in the room with the person, even if it's just in the eyes, not actually saying anything, not going in there and trying to like buddy up to them or anything like that. Just showing them who you really are and that you are going to be great to work with, and that you are off 100% off book and you're ready, and that you can adjust to anything that they tell you. And that's what I love doing. I love going to in-person auditions. I always have. But that has been a thing that's been going on in the industry for a while now. And I remember when we did self tapes in school, I had to put myself into character and then get in front of the camera, and then you have to slate and do all these little steps before you're actually able to say anything, which you do in a live audition as well. But when you're in the room and you're talking to the people and they just happen to have the camera on you, it's different than when you're just looking directly into the camera, trying to set it up yourself, and anything like that. There's positives and negatives ever since COVID's been going on, and with the self tapes rising, because I think just like with anything with COVID, people are realizing that it's just easier to do it one way as opposed to the other way. I remember watching a news broadcast that was basically saying that they're estimating that after COVID happens, that people are either going to like flood to the stores and flood to the malls and all this other kind of stuff because they're so happy to be out and around the world, or people are going to still continue to utilize the online shopping and utilize the online grocery because it's so much more convenient. They actually tallied how long it took you to drive to the store, get out of your car, get back in, park, drive, all this other kind of stuff, rather than just clicking a few buttons. What I don't like about self-taping is on the flip side of it, as a casting director, because again, casting directors are all looking for different things, but when you come in there in person and you have a chance to show them not only who you are, but talk to them, interact with them, it's different than when they look at a little picture of you that's scrolling down the left side of their screen, and they have a billion of them over and over and over again. It's very different, and it leaves no interaction, no communication, no personal involvement. And that's the real thing that I really don't like about self-tape, along with the fact that it also puts more on the actor. And I mean, we have so much to deal with in the first place, just trying to get work and be in the industry, because the industry is, it's people think it's this humongous industry. It's really not. It's this small, tight-knit industry, and you have to try to maneuver your way into it and show people who you are and make them want to work with you. But self-tapes actually put even more on the actor, where if you don't have phenomenal lighting and you don't have a great camera and all this other kind of stuff, then you're kind of dampered. I mean, it doesn't automatically put you out of the running, but if they're watching a tape with someone who has a wonderful camera, great lighting, maybe even some effects, which I've seen some of my friends do for their self-tapes and stuff, versus just somebody who's holding their phone, and because that's all they have, that's all they can't afford anything else, or they don't have how to use anything else. It just puts more on the actor than the actor should have put on them.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I personally, of the two, I personally feel in person is much better. I mean, I've seen people do self tapes. I mean, I self tape is very hard. I've seen some amazing self tapes, and
oh yeah.
And, I mean, people put their soul into it, and it's pretty damn impressive.
Absolutely.
It just sort of makes it more impressive that the fact that people are doing this live and in person, and it's just like, holy shit, you're really like, you have a lot more respect for it. So, what was the first project that you booked for yourself? What was your first film project, or actually, what was your first acting? Was it stage? Was it a stage? Was it a theater? Or was it a short film?
I mean, like first ever in my life.
Yeah,
I mean,
first ever. I mean, and walk us through it. I mean, even if it's a small
that's
part.
going way back. I mean, I did background work in a couple films. Like when I was in Reno, Kingpin was filming out in that area, and I remember there's a bowling scene, that they did out there, and I got in the background of that. I'm nowhere on set, on screen or anything like that. You can't see me. I might have been cut, or I just might have been standing there because I was younger, I was smaller, or whatever. I've gone through pretty much everything I've ever actually been involved in. You can't really see me. And I did small plays. I remember I got the role of Kocoum in Pocahontas when I was really young. And I also got the role of Kaniki in Greece. And I had fun with those plays because when you're that little, you got the regular, kind of Shakespeare theater, you got musical theater, and I enjoy both. And then I got lucky enough to get two parts, which was Hamlet and Iago and Othello. And even way back then, we were playing at the Royal, the Lake Tahoe Shakespearean Festival. And I remember even back then looking at the two characters, and I wanted to kind of play them different. So with Iago, I looked at who he was, and I kind of put a flip on his character, and I said, okay, well, instead of him just being jealous, or instead of him, just being hateful or anything like that, who is he? Who is he under the surface? How can I change this up? And I actually put it in my mindset that all of his jealousy, all of his rage comes because he's actually truly in love with a fellow and instead of just the jealousy coming from being mad or arrogant, it came from a side of love. So I kind of flipped it, and I actually ended up winning Best Actor at that Lake Tahoe festival that year. And for Hamlet, I kind of played that as best as I possibly could. And I remember I did everything that I could do for that role, and I actually got nominated for the Best Actor, but I didn't win that year for that role. But it was an honor just to be nominated. So I really kind of cut my teeth with Shakespearean plays, regular plays, like Tennessee Williams plays. Confessionals was one that I did in I think it was in high school or maybe late high school or somewhere around there. And I remember I played the character of Monk, the bartender, and I packed on weight for that role. Back then, I think I packed on like maybe 40 pounds, and I did that by drinking a gallon of milk a day. And I put on the weight and wanted to bring that character to life. So this, the method acting and everything has been something that's been in me from the very beginning. So once I got more and more bigger roles.
You did that role while you were in high school.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was in high school, and then once I got into college, I went out to many different colleges. I went to the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and I did I was a theater major out there, and then I traveled to UNR, University of Nevada, Reno, and was a theater major there. I went out to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. I studied under Diane Baker, who's a huge Hollywood leading lady from the olden days, and she was wonderful. But it was in a school setting, and I was dealing with other students that didn't have that drive, or I was dealing with class schedules or all this other kind of thing. So when you have so many things going on, you can't really 100% fully commit to everything. So you have to pick what you commit to. So I always commit to my art and to my performances. And at that time I was trying to work as much as I could and trying to get as many different roles as I could possibly get. And I got a role in War of the Worlds with Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise, and it was actually shot here in the Santa Clarita Mountains. And I actually was on that for about I think a week and a half, somewhere around there. And I was right next to Tom, and of course those scenes got cut out. But on the ferry ship I was on, when we traveled through the towns, we were all looking at the poster boards of the missing persons, and Tom was giving me some great advice. I was talking with him on set, and then I actually found myself in the front of the stunt crew, and they did the scene where Tom Cruise's stunt double gets on top of the car that they're driving. He punches, tries to get through them, and they drive through it. And they found out that I had done stunts and professional wrestling and everything like that. So they were like, "Okay, you're here." And we basically had to jump out of the way of the car, and they're like, "You know how to fall, right?" And I was like, "Of course." And just kind of grabbing that opportunity as soon as it came, I was like, "Hell yeah, I can do this." And we shot up there for a little while, and then the diner scene that was in there too, when the car crashed, I was involved in the crowd in there, and it was a great experience. But then once I kind of got more and more experience for everything, and I was like, "No, okay, I'm doing this. I have to do this now. I've been at this my entire life. I don't want to, do this anymore. I don't want to do that." And I kind of dropped things like, the business that I had in Reno. I was like, "No, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to be an actor. That's all I want to do. I want to go out there and dedicate myself 150% to only doing this." And
I have one question for you, if you don't mind. Excuse me. I have one question for you. What did your high school drama teacher? How did they take it when they were adding 40 pounds for a role? I don't. Was it concerned?
I mean, they were there. They basically kind of told me that I don't need to do kind of things like that for the roles, that I can express it in other ways and everything like that. But I'm sitting here, holding all these method acting books and because you got Adler, you got Meisner, you got so many different teachers, and they always say, "Okay, well, you can do this method or you can do this method." And I'm like, "Well, I have the books that make the most sense to me. I've read those books. I've read Meisner. I've read Adler. I've read everything that I could get my hands on. But the ones that made the most sense to me were with method acting." And
I'm sure.
I'd answer it back.
It's blowing my mind. I'm just really thinking about it. Some 16, 17-year-old student comes in there, he wins a role, and then you just sold yourself out for it. I mean, I'm sure your teacher inside was cheering you on. I'm sure.
I would really hope that, and it was funny when I came out to the New York Film Academy. I had a teacher named Michael Burchard, and he basically was very much like me, because I'm a very to the point kind of a person. I'm very even to the point of being blunt when I'm in the industry, and this is what I want to do, and everything. I don't like to kind of tap dance, and he was basically saying that that's what you need, and that's how he was with us as students. He was basically saying, "This is who you are, and this is who the industry is going to make you. Be okay with it. Don't be okay with it. Commit, don't commit, but if you're not going to commit fully, don't waste everybody's time." And when the concept of branding came up, and he was saying getting stereotyped, his answer back to that was, if you get stereotyped, you should be so lucky, because there's so many actors out there that don't get a chance to act, don't get a chance to do what they do and do what they love. I mean, I love going into an audition just to do what I love for 20 minutes, and having the chance to be an actor who is, even typecast as the tough guy, the villain, the whatever it is, I'm still working and I'm still living my dream. And so just like so many other actors have done, you can prove that you can break stereotyping, but you got to work first, and so that's why I don't, really turn down a whole lot of roles unless I don't like the script or the character, or I've gotten past the point of doing, because there's so many people out here who are trying to do things and trying to make films and trying to do their own things, and you have ones with wonderful budgets, and then you have ones that don't have great budgets. And I've worked on very, very low budget films before. I mean, Ariadne, I packed on all that weight and we shot for 3 months. I didn't get paid for that. We basically had a deal where I got, when it became DVD and Blu-ray, which it did, I got a cut of those, but I didn't get an actual, salary for it. And I've got kind of past that point now to where that's, always something I'm like, I don't work for free. I don't think anybody should. My time is valuable. Your time is valuable. Everybody's time is valuable. So I would say that just really put everything that you have into it. And
I agree. I'll just step in real quick and say this. I've seen that in different acting groups. I've seen that with a lot of people. They'll be advertising their short film, and they'll be looking for actors. I can't pay you, but you'll get experience, or you'll get a movie database credit. And it makes me mad. It makes me mad because it's like, you know what? You're not a filmmaker. You're not a real filmmaker if you cannot pay for your talent. I'm sorry. I don't care what that, whether it be you either build a budget that includes your talent. That might be filling up their tank of gas, paying for their gas. That may be not only paying for their gas, but making sure they have food. That may not be gas and food, but it also may be maybe $50. You have to build that into your budget in order for you to start filming. Asking an actor to come out there and work for free, it's to me, it's insensitive. It's insensitive and it's selfish. And no real filmmaker is going to do that. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if you're all students, going to school or doing something, that's one thing that I can understand. But once you graduate from being a student and you want to be working in the industry, absolutely, you need to have a budget for your film that includes some type of payment to the. It's one thing if you can't give everybody, $300 a day or $1,000 a day or anything like that, But I mean, you should take it on the basis of what are they going to be doing for this film. If it's a short film for one day, that you're standing in the background for, they're still there. They're still taking time out of whatever they had to do. So they still deserve payment, whether you're the leading man in an action film and you have to learn all this choreography, it goes by what you're doing. That should give you, your pay. And, for me, the thing that really upsets me when it comes to the other side of it, because as an actor, you don't really have a lot of control in the post-production side of things. So I have control as telling, okay, this is what I want to do the film, making sure I have a contract. And I tell that to any actor out there, make sure you always have a contract, because again, like you said, that there are bad people, I guess is the only way to really put it, trying to take advantage of people.
Have you been inside any of the Facebook groups? I go there. I look there all the time because I'm always looking for new people to talk to. And one of the things I notice is like over and over and consistently over, need an actor, need actors for a short film I'm filming. They'll put what they're looking for, and it says, I can't pay you, but, and I'm like, what? Well, you know what? I can tell you right now, unless you're doing it for yourself, and even then, if you're doing it for yourself, you still had to get it for yourself. That is, I bet you're paying for your DP. I bet you're paying for I bet you're paying for your line producer. I bet you're paying for your effect person. I bet you're paying something for somebody. You had to work somewhere in order to pay for your camera. You had to work somewhere in order to pay. So why don't you think that these actors aren't they deserve some sort of payment, even if it's just a small one, even if it's just like, listen, here's what I'm doing. I'll pay you $50. I'll feed you. Especially if it's like a 3-man, 2-man, 4-man person. Come on, seriously, you can't budget $100. You can't budget $400 for your actors.
Well, like you said before, it's like gas money or something. Gas money, food.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's like you're benefiting from their work. Basically, you get your finished product. Guess what you're going to do with it? You're using that to sell yourself. You're using it. You're supplying it. You're putting it out to everywhere else. You're looking to get work. Well, so are they. They're professionals just like you are. So compensate them. Make sure that they're taken care of.
Absolutely.
And sitting there going like, well, you'll get a credit. Yeah, well, last I looked, I can't feed myself on a credit. I can't pay my rent on a credit. I can't pay for my car on a credit. I mean, can you? I mean, is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna make this movie because on a credit? I really, it sort of cheeses me off
No,
that I see that.
it
I
definitely
don't.
does.
I mean,
It upsets me, and I don't even respond on the Facebook messages or anything when I see that. I just keep scrolling or whatever until I come to anything that says paid, and then I contact the person and be like, okay, what's the deal? And again, as an actor, you're looking for different things. You're looking for to make sure that the set's going to be run professionally. You're looking sure that the people are professional that you're working with, that you're getting a payment, but you're also looking for that clip and that footage to show on your reel. I remember that I did a feature film called Los Angeles Kidnapping, and it was a film that was actually being it was a Chinese feature film that I actually got lucky enough to go to the audition for and actually get cast for, and it was a 1 day gig, and they were not they paid but it was like, I think it was SAG minimum that they paid. And it was like a $2 million feature film. And I looked at the part, and they wanted me to play this like very flamboyant, comedic character. And it was a very, very flamboyant, homosexual character. And I was like, I want that to show on my reel, because I know I can pull that off, and I don't get cast for, those type of roles very often. So I was like, you know what, even though, I'm at a place that I think, I'm not better than that. That's not the right phrasing, but that this is a film that could actually give me more of compensation. I decided, okay, I want this for my footage, and I made sure that was put in the contract. I want the footage within a time period and everything. I did the spot, and it looked phenomenal. And actually, it started out as only like a couple lines, but I kept ad-libbing, and the director loved it. And he came over to me, he was like, more, give me more. And I just kept throwing stuff out. And anybody that I show the scene to, they start laughing, their asses off. And I love doing the character. The character's name was Rose. And I actually saw the trailer for the film when it came out, and my character made it into the trailer. And I was just blown away by that. I was like, for a little teeny tiny scene that I did, because I put so much into it and wanted to play that role so bad, and made sure I was nailing every take that I got, because I wasn't screwing off in the background. I wasn't doing this or that. I was making sure I was preparing for the next shot and the next shot and the next shot. And I was able to get into the trailer for the movie, but I also got something wonderful to put on my reel that shows I can do those type of roles, and it's okay to cast me for that, because you see that I can do it. And that's what the opposite side of things when it comes to post-production is. What really upsets me is when I've done a couple films now, and that's why the contracts are not an option for me anymore, where I did a feature film like about 2 years ago that had big name actors in it, actors that are home recognizable names. And I thought that this was like, I was getting to the next level in my career, and everything was great. And I actually lost my job that I had at the time, because I had to tell them, no, I can't come in, because they kept switching the schedule on us. Well, that film has still never come out. And I've never gotten a scrap of anything that I did for that film. And unfortunately, it has to go into with lawyers and everything like that now, because I did get a contract. But that's something that you don't want to do as a filmmaker. Don't waste other people's times, if you can't see it through to the end. If you're not going to finish it, don't start it.
There's a lot of movies like that, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's even ones that I've had to take it upon myself to put out into either film festivals or try to get out for distribution. And Ariadne, the director, who I love, the director is Adrian Rodriguez, was our director, and he's so wonderful. But as soon as we finished that film, he got a bunch of other offers down in Mexico to go do a bunch of other films. And of course, he's going to go take those. But he didn't have a lot of time after that to give to trying to find a distribution deal. So I asked him, I was like, hey, are you cool with me trying to find one? And he was like, absolutely. If you find one, let me know, and we'll do it. And I found one, and we got the film out into Walmart and Best Buy and everything like that. And it's available it was on Amazon Prime for about, I think, last 2 years, I think. And they just recently, I think, took it down, but it's on Blu-ray and DVD, available, everywhere. And it was because I was like, okay, I know he's too busy, and that's not his fault. He's doing stuff, but let me step in. I'll take up the extra slack. but so many people don't do that. I actually did a short that was $100,000 short that they put everything that they had into it and made it wonderful. And I was like, this is going to be awesome. That has never seen the light of day, because after it got done, the director kind of told us, you're not getting anything, and we're going to sue you if you try to take anything. And like we were like, we had agreements. We had agreements. You're going to give us a copy. We're going to see it. It was going to go places. No, and that's why now I've kind of learned my lesson, and I tell all the other actors that I work with, always get a contract. Don't work for free ever. And always make sure you get things in contracts, even if that contract just states that he'll pay your gas and give you a copy of the film, something like that. Get it in writing, because unfortunately, there are wonderful people in this industry that I cannot wait to work with again. That I hope to work with for the first time. I'm going down to Vegas to work with Patel Films and Ronnie Lloyd Nanos, the director of Death Club, here in about a week, and I cannot wait to work with them all. It's been we've been prepping, and I love everything that I'm hearing from all them. I can't wait to bring the character. I play a character named Chad to life, and it's a wonderful script. But it's my first time working with all them. The DP is Michael Sue, and I know his other work. I've seen his other work, but I've never worked with him yet, and I want to. And there are people that I want to work with, but then there's also people. I have a little list that I do that I'll never work with again. If their name's up in anything that I do, I'll never work with it, because if you burn me once, shame. Sure. It's my fault if you burn me a second time. Like they say. So I won't allow that.
Is there any role that is too much for you to handle? Is there any role that you would, if someone offered it, came up to you and say, "Hey, I want you to do this role"? Is there any one role that you would sit there and say, "Nope, I have my lines. I have my boundaries. I won't go beyond that"?
No, because I've played, like I said, homosexual characters. I did a stage show in my past that was all about the LGBT community, which I absolutely love doing, and as an ally to the community, I loved just doing anything that I could to bring that community into light. And for the play, I had to have a sex scene and any makeout scenes with other male characters in the crew in the cast, and I had no problem with it, because it's the character that I'm bringing to life. I will put on weight. I will lose weight. I will do any stunt that you throw at me, as long as, again, it's not going to kill me or anything like that. It's done safely, and I know that I'm being taken care of. And but I feel as an actor, it's my job, and the job of all actors to put themselves to the side, and say, this character is who I want to show, whether he is a good person or a bad person. I want to show who he is. And there's a acting saying that you have to love the character that you're playing, but I don't agree with that. And I watched an interview one time with Russell Crowe where he didn't agree with that either. And he basically said that if you love something, you forgive their faults, and you can't bring those faults to fruition for the audience. But
right.
I want to bring those. So I've played characters that I full on hate, like as who they are, and the backgrounds that I've given them and everything like that. They're just not good people, but that doesn't mean that I can't bring them to light honestly, and bring them to the stage or to the screen in an honest way to say, hey, this is this character, and I want the audience to fully see this character. So, right. I mean, so far, I have never seen a script or I had a character that I wouldn't do. Or, like I said, I've done full blown nudity before. I've done rape scenes, and I'm always the one that makes sure that my female co-stars are safe and they're secure. And I remember one time I yelled at a director. I went off on him because we were in the middle of a sex scene, and the actress was doing nudity along with me, and she was looking for like some kind of criticism or did I do okay? Did I, was everything okay? Do you want me to do anything else? And the director was just screwing off in the background, kind of laughing with like a friend of his or something like that. And I completely lost it on set. I was like, hey, this is a very sensitive thing you're asking this actress to do, and you're being a jackass, and that's not okay. So either get your head out of your ass and let's shoot this and let's do it professionally, or fucking leave, and we'll the people who want to be here will be here. And I remember she came up to me afterward and she thanked me so much for that. And to this day, she's a great friend of mine, and I love her to death. And but there's a right way and a wrong way to go about anything. Bringing characters to life honestly and openly, depending on what kind of film you do, that could involve nudity, that could involve sex scenes, that could involve drug scenes or anything like that, because it doesn't mean that I endorse doing those things. I'm trying to show a character. I'm trying to bring that character to life and tell their story. This isn't Dustin Ardine, it says drugs is okay. This is that character is living a horrible life and making horrible life choices, and I'm going to show that in an attempt to bring his story to life. So to be perfectly honest, I don't think that there's any role that I wouldn't do.
What role would you like to play? Is there a challenging role out there that you'd like to tackle for the first time that you haven't had a crack at it? What are three types of roles that you haven't played yet that you'd love to play?
Because I've played villains and heroes, and I've played comic reliefs, and I've played the heavy, and I've played a lot of different kind of roles. But like I said, I don't get cast in comedies a lot, but I can do them. But I think the three that I'd love to play is any kind of period piece. I love period pieces, and I've played period pieces on stage before, but not so far on screen. And I'd love to play a period piece, whether it was set in the Renaissance age or Victorian era, or no matter what it was set in. I'd love to bring a period character to life on the screen,
like doing a western or a colonial piece.
Yeah, like a colonial piece, or just any kind of period piece would be wonderful to play. I mean, even another one would be like a knight type of role, a medieval times type of a role, knight, king, squires, dragons, things like that. I would love to bring that kind of character to life. And there's hopefully a TV show that I'm actually going to get a chance to do that on. I'm in negotiations with them right now, and they're writing the scripts and everything, and it looks really promising. But I never start promoting or doing anything until everything's set in stone. Then I think the last one, because I think it would be such a challenge, would be like I would love to be just to have anything thrown at me that people thought I couldn't play, like hey, you have to bring like a female character to life, or kind of like how Dustin Hoffman did with Tootsie, something like that, or just how Al Pacino did, where he played the blind man, and instead of a woman, and just so many different kind of characters like that. And I mean, if it's a character that you could find an actor to play, like I was actually I just did a self-tape for a feature film that was the scene is in ASL, American Sign Language, and they found me on Backstage or one of my acting sites that I'm fluent in ASL, I can sign, and they contacted me and they were like, hey, we want you to do this scene, but we want you to do it in ASL. So the whole scene is going to be done in ASL, and I said, okay, is my character like in the movie, is he like a deaf character that you could find a deaf actor for? Like, I don't want to take somebody else's job away from them or anything like that. They're like, no, this is not a role for a deaf actor or anything like that. If it was, we'd give it to an actual deaf person. We want you to speak the lines and say it, and it's kind of like a dream sequence going on, and that's what's going. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. So I send them my audition and everything like that, and I haven't heard back from it yet. I'm still waiting, but would love to do it. But I mean, any kind of challenging roles, I don't really want to do the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, even though right now, like I said, I would be totally happy because my dream is to be a working actor in the industry and have my name get out there in a big way. So if I have to be, an LA detective for the next 10 years of my life, on a TV show,
that's a problem that any actor would like to have.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not necessarily the character that I'm saying I don't want to play. It's the same type of, I don't want to be Dustin, me on the screen over and over and over again, or things like that I don't want to do over and over and over again. But I really love finding out not just new characters to play, but also new twists on things. And that's why I'm so excited for Death Club, because I've been working with that whole team. And one of the things that I loved at the audition, because I went down to Las Vegas to audition for that, and I met the director, Ronnie, and me and him had a whole conversation, because he could tell I was from the stage. I had a stage background, and I could tell he was from the stage. And we talked about method acting, character development, and everything. And he kind of said what drew him to the film was that he, saw all these architectural type of characters that you have in a lot of films, like, this or that, or no matter what you have, and flip them on themselves, and wanted them to be played completely different. And, my character could be played 100 times over one way, but I'm going to completely play it a different way. And Ronnie and me have been talking about it, and we love what we've come up with, and I can't wait to bring the character to life. And that's why I'm super excited to go down there and shoot that thing, and can't wait to work with everybody, because it's going to be a new twist on typical, your standard type of characters for, kind of horror films. And the whole team, Patel Films, all of them have been wonderful, and we're looking forward to working with them. So that's kind of how my approach to looking at things like that.
What's your favorite genre of film do you like working in? I mean, what excites you most? Do you like doing horror versus drama, or drama versus comedy, or?
I think again, going back to what we said before, just to be working, it doesn't really matter what genre it is. But my favorite, I guess, kind of roles would definitely be drama. I love drama films. I love drama characters. I love telling stories of either real characters who really went through something, which is another type of role that I'd love to play, like a historical character, a historical accurately played character. I'd love to bring that kind of character to life. And I love doing dramatic pieces that people, again, they can relate to, because you want people to relate with your character. People might not like every part of your character, but there's something that they can learn from them. People go to the gym and they push themselves harder when they hear Rocky's theme song, or they got through a difficult time in their lives because of this movie, or that character gave them strength. And even if it's a person that maybe you don't identify 100% with, there's something in them that you can see a part of yourself in, and it helps you get through that time, get through an escape in your life, or just gives you something to believe in. A lot of my beliefs that I have in myself come from a lot of characters that I grew up watching, and a lot of things that I took to myself going, no, I want to be like that. I want to push myself harder. I want to earn things. I don't want to get them for free. And I want to see people see me as the guy who works his ass off, rather than the guy that just walks into a room, says some lines, and leaves. So I love dramas, but I mean, I love horror. I love action, and because I do stunts and fight choreography and stuff like that, I get cast for actions a lot. I love those. But I mean, I'd also love to do a soap opera. I worked with Daytime Emmy Award winner Judy Evans a couple years back, and me and her became really good friends. She was kind of my surrogate mother in the film, and we grew really, really close. And I still, talk to her to this day and ask her for advice in the industry, or say happy birthday, or just check in and say, hey, how are you? Let's get together. And I'd love to do a soap opera. I mean, any type of film and character that people can relate to, and that I can sink my teeth into, whether it's comedy, sci-fi, action, periods, whatever. That's the ones that I'm looking for. When I really get either a director who contacts me and says, hey, I have something that you fit perfectly, and they don't even know me, I know that they have gone off, like my looks, and or what they think that I'm good for. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the character? What's the script? Or if I see a script that's like badly written, and I'll go to them, I'll say, is there any way we can change this stuff up? And if they're just not willing to work with you at all, or if they're like, hey, it's my way or the highway, I'll go the highway a lot of the times. But again, my job as an actor is to do what the director wants me to do.
Within reason. If it's a shitty ass script, and they're not willing to work with you about that, then I can understand, you can make you can make coleslaw out of lettuce, but if they're not willing to work with you or they're being inflexible, then I can understand maybe not saying maybe this part isn't the right one for me, and good luck finding somebody else. I mean, not every role is going to work.
I mean, when it comes to scripts, you can always do things to improve the script. I mean, even just ad-libbing lines like I did in Los Angeles Kidnapping, or just working with the director. And I love working with directors and writers and everything like that, and finding out the different ideas for the characters. But a lot of the times when I say no to a project, it honestly hasn't even gotten to when I got the script. When I read the script and I'm like, hey, this could improve here, could improve here. And a lot of the times they're like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. And I found out that the guy knows what he's talking about or whatnot. But a lot of the times it has to do with what we were saying before. Either I realize from one conversation that they have no clue what they're doing, or they have no budget, or they don't know what they're going to do with the film. They have no marketing budget or anything like that to get the film out there to the world. Or like we said before, they're like, well, I want you to do it for free, or it's deferred payment, or anything like that. Then it's like, I'm sorry, thank you very much, but no.
I'm going to open up the chat here. If you guys have any questions for Dustin, please drop them in the chat if you have anything to ask him. I was going to ask you about this. I mean, with the streaming services being what they are, there's so many different streaming services. Do you feel that's going to be more of a boon to help you? Is it going to be, or is it going to help you because there's so many more projects, or is it going to be tougher because there's so much more competition?
I think it's a little bit of both, because I think right now in the industry it's a wonderful time, probably maybe even the best time to be an actor, because of all the different platforms we have. Before it was just either the studios or television. Now we have all these different streaming sites, and all the big studios are doing their own streaming sites, putting out original content. I mean, The Mandalorian on Disney Plus is a phenomenal show. I mean, that's set in the Star Wars universe, and I would dream of getting a role in a production like that. But then Netflix puts out original independent films, and they put out really good content. So it's such an exciting time because there's so many things that you can do. But at the same time, as you said, there's so many people in the industry who want to be here, because we all grew up with, the Dustin Hoffmans or the Robert De Niro's, the Gene Hackmans, who again put in their time and got their got their just rewards. But now there's so many people in the industry, and it's not just that, but you're also dealing with so many factors of the industry wanting to keep you out, because whether it's who you come from, or you don't have the right connections, or all of these kind of things that are kind of built to keep you out. That's stuff that a lot of people can't make it through. And I think that's wrong. I mean, I've always thought that, there's kind of football scouts that go and tour schools for, the next people who are going to be in the NFL. And there's, if you want to be a professional wrestler, you go to the WWE, or they see you on the independent circuit or something like that, but there's not kind of like that, such a thing in acting. You can be the best actor in the world and work for 30 years and never be seen, never get a humongous gig or anything like that, which is the scary part about the industry. And that's the bad part about the industry. And that's something that I feel that in some way should be changed, to where more people get a chance to be seen, or at least get the chance to accomplish their dreams. Because a lot of people can't get through not having the right connections, because when you work your heart out and you just don't get the right person to see you, and you need that right person to see you to get to the next level in your career, it's kind of an unfair circle that goes on. You can't get to the next level, but then you also can't get to the people that can put you in that next level. Right. Whether that's through nepotism, or so many other people just trying to keep you down, or whatever it's through, just bad luck. It's a bad part of the industry that we have right now.
We do got some questions that are coming through the chat. The first one is from Hobbs. It says, "Is there ever an age that is too old to pursue an acting career?" He's asking for a friend.
And it's funny because when I was at NYFA, the New York Film Academy, like I said, they study Meisner and Adler a lot there, but mine is Lee Strasberg method acting, and Lee Strasberg is, his book is kind of, like my most important treasure. And when I was at NIFA, Seth Rogen came to NIFA to speak, and when we went there, someone asked him the very same question, kind of like, is it too late, or are people in the, over 40 or 50, do they have any chance in hell? And Seth kind of in his own way, he was like, fuck yeah, like hell yeah, like anybody can do it as long as you have the drive and the determination to do it. Get off your ass and go do it. It was kind of in Seth's ways his own answer, which I kind of share. I think that it doesn't matter, because history's shown that people have become famous after 40. People haven't begun writing until after 60, but they've become a famous author or poet or so many different things, built an invention or all this kind of stuff. If you have a passion and you have a drive for something that just won't go away, and see, that's where mine comes from. I get, like you said earlier, I get told I'm very driven, and I'm very passionate about what I do, and my focus, and is what I have. That's me, because I don't have the most money in the world. I don't even come close. I don't have the greatest connections in the world. But if you put me in a room with 10 other guys, I can guarantee you I will outwork them every time, because that's the drive and the determination I have. I can look you in the face and say, I will outwork you, but
I think it's safe to say let me help you with this. I think it's safe to say what Hobbs is asking is, there's no such thing as an age limit if you're willing to do the hard work. If you're willing to do the hard work, there's no age limit. You can pick it up anytime you want, but you got to be able to go at it hard.
Absolutely. And that's what I tell other people. If you're going to do this, you commit to it. If you're going to do anything in life, you commit to it. You got to get rid of everything else, because I did that. You got to get rid of everything else. And if you have that burn inside of you, burn is the only way that I can describe it. It's what wakes you up in the morning. It's what puts you to sleep at night. Then you got to put yourself fully into it. And if you can't, then I'd say don't go into it. Because if you can't commit fully, then you're just wasting your time. But if you can commit fully and that's what you want to do, go after your dreams, live your dream, because we only live this life one time. We have one shot at this. We don't get a sequel. One shot.
We have another gentleman in the chat, Danny K, who asks you, do you still seek acting training?
What did you say?
Do you still seek acting training? Do you still go to class today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously in the COVID world, it's very different. But no, as an actor, you have to constantly train. You have to constantly, even if it's just, sitting in your room and finding an acting book you've never read before and getting somebody else's perspective that you could then take and go, oh, I've never thought about it this way. That will strengthen yourself as an actor. And I mean, my bookshelves are full of acting books that, some of them are from the greatest teachers in the world, and other ones are from people you've never even heard before. But I saw it on a shelf and I was like, okay, this seems like it could be something I could gain from it. And even if I go through the entire book and I don't necessarily agree with everything, there's always typically something in there that I'm like, you know what, that's a different perspective. Maybe I could use it in a character, maybe I could, use it myself or whatever. So I think that as an actor, just like as a person, we never stop learning. I don't think a person stops learning. I don't think actors stop learning. So if you stop training, it's kind of like going to the gym. You can go to the gym every single day of your life and have a great body, but then once you stop, you kind of, and start eating everything in sight, it's gonna change. So yes, absolutely, always seek training.
So your next project is Death Club. You're leaving for Vegas next week?
Yeah, I leave Wednesday next week.
So when Death Club gets ready to rock and roll, would you come back and talk to us about it?
Absolutely. I know that I have a couple weeks of shooting, and then I don't know how long the post-production is going to take, but they already have said that they're going to do an opening of the film in Vegas, and they're going to do a whole thing for it. So absolutely, I would absolutely love to come back and talk to you guys about it and the experience that I went through, and hopefully I may even have a trailer to show.
That would be a lot of fun. Last round in the chat. Feel free to ask Dustin any questions you may.
Absolutely, please.
Please, the more questions, the better. Yeah, seeing it's starting to get dark behind you.
Oh yeah, it is getting a little bit. How's it looking there?
It's dark. People are having fun because I mentioned, oh no, Seth Rogen. I have a running hate relationship with Seth Rogen because he ruined the Green Hornet movie, and I just want to like choke him to death for it. Like, why'd you do that? So I mean, he's all right. I mean, I'm harsh on him a little bit, but Seth Rogen's all right.
Hey,
Who would you like to share a scene with, both male wise and female wise? If you had a chance to work one scene with a favorite actor or actress, who would you like to work with?
oh, I mean that's a that's a completely loaded question. I think on a male side of it, my favorite actor, working in the industry today, is Russell Crowe. When I was, I can't remember what age I was, but I went in. My brother had a copy of the movie Romper Stomper, and it was before Russell came over to America, and I saw it, and I just saw like this guy is fully in character. Like, whoa, like that blew me away. And since
Yeah,
then, I followed his career. I'd love to share the screen with Russell, but then I'd also love to share the screen with Dustin Hoffman, just because I'd love to shake his hand. I'd love to say thank you for giving me my name, because my mother named me after Dustin, and I love his performances and his work. And even if it was just like 3 seconds, just to shake his hand and say, thank you very much for giving me my name. As far as female actress goes, my favorite actress is. My favorite actress is Christina Ricci. I've been a fan of hers since I was a kid and watching, Addams Family, and all her films that she did back then. And I'd love to share the screen with her. But then also Kate Winslet, I think, is probably the best actress working today. I mean, there's so many wonderful actors out there that are coming up. I mean, Hugh Jackman is phenomenal.
Hugh
Tom Hardy.
Jackman. Yeah, that's a good. Do you say Tom Hardy? Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Hardy's phenomenal. I love Tom Hardy, and I mean, there's so many female written roles now that we're seeing so many more female characters, and that's a wonderful thing. And there's so many wonderful actresses out there that I'd love to share the screen with. Charlize Theron is a wonderful actress, and I'd love to share the screen with her. But I mean, even just
Wait till you see who I got here next week. You'll add her to it too.
awesome.
Leah McKendrick. Yeah, that's a phenomenal actress.
Absolutely.
I mean, she can bring the noise. Um,
And there's
yeah,
so many people on the indie circuit that aren't home names yet, that I already know that I want to work with. And actually, a couple of them I saw on your show, and there's a couple of them, like I said, that I'm going to work with, that I've seen their work. Michael Sue, the DP, and Ronnie Nanos, the director, and a couple of the people that I'll be acting in this film. Sadie Katz is a member of the film. And I've seen some of her works, and I'm looking forward to working with her as well. So I mean, there's actors all over the board, whether they're famous or just kind of the guy that is like, oh, I've seen that guy in like a bunch of other stuff, or unknown as of right now, that you definitely want to see, because you see their work and you see their commitment, and you're like, I can learn something and take in something from working with this person. I can strengthen myself by working with this individual.
yes, yeah. Sadie's a sweetheart. Your friend Danny says, oh yeah, Ferry just mentions Danny O'Leil started later in life. That's true. Danny O'Leil start late.
Absolutely.
Samuel Jackson started relatively late in his career. He was no rookie coming up. He was middle aged when he first started in the 80s.
The scene I remember that he did, the little where he was the robber in Coming to America, he was already, I believe, in his 40s, or at 40.
He did a couple of roles in Spencer for Hire. He played a recurring character, and he was in his early 40s then too. Let's see. Your friend Danny mentioned outstanding interview, brother. Love your passion and philosophy. So
Thank you, Danny.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, I want to thank you for coming out and talking to us, Dustin. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to thank you
for having me.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Thank you to the chat as always for being engaging and fun.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Before I go, because I got to do this, I always got to do this. So the calendar again, once again, next week we have artist, publisher, Vance Copley will be here. Capley will be here on the 7th. Lee McKendrick will be here on the 8th. And then our friend Michelle from the YouTube channel Makeup Mom and Son. She's actually a horror film. She's actually a horror film fiend. She knows probably more than I do. She'll be on the show next Thursday. I will leave information if you're interested in seeing a movie of Dustin's on September 18th. Please contact me. Contact me through my Instagram. Have Cheetah will view. Send me a private message saying that if you're interested, you will have to be in the Los Angeles area for that to happen. So if you're in the LA area and in between now and say September 17th, send me a private message. I will get your message over to the appropriate parties and make sure that you have tickets waiting for you.
Absolutely, come on down, support me. I'd love it. I'd love to show the film.
Dustin, again, thank you so much. Just stay right where you're at, and then we'll talk real quick. And the rest of you guys, thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you soon. Until the next one, peace.
Peace.